The St. Louis Art Museum holds a world-renowned collection of approximately 36,000 objects spanning 5,000 years of history and culture. There's an additional 2,700 objects in rotating collection galleries. Price to park? Free. Price of admission? Free. Access to Picasso, Matisse, Warhol? Yup, all free. So go to exploreSTL.com to help build your visit to St. Louis and fill your daytime with culture and nighttime with craziness. Today's episode, we get to chat with Kevin Stoll, assistant coach at SLU Men's Soccer, who talks about the storied program's culture, recruiting process, favorite player profiles, his own tryout at Middlesbrough, and about Jeremy Allenbaugh teaching him a permanent coaching lesson. Roll Bills. What's up, Jared?
Hey, how we doing?
Good, man. It's Thursday.
It is Thursday. It's Thursday, and we have 80 degrees on tap this weekend. Come on.
Oh, do we? I'll be in Cincinnati. So it's probably going to be 81 and rainy there.
I think I'm going to go up for that with the boys, or follow the boys up to watch that Milwaukee game this weekend, and I don't know if it's for soccer. I think I'm going up to...
You're not going to watch the game.
I'm going to watch the game, but I think I'm going up to get Spotted Cow, and I think I'm going up to go to the Bavarian house.
You should have, like, you should realistically invest in, like, a GoPro. You should just go to the local pub and stream the game to your phone. And if you found a way to, like, mass produce that simplicity, you could make a lot of money. You're not down with that?
I mean, I think that makes sense.
Hey, Soccer Dad Pod, we're back. We're in, like, the weeds of springtime, man. My eyeballs are telling me it every morning, but we've got spring soccer, we've got spring high school soccer, we got GA Cup just wrapped up, we've got everybody running to the end of the season for kick-arounds and tryouts, trying to get the fall. I mean, look, the reality is the youth soccer / academy soccer / college soccer, everything up, it's 12 months a year. Let's not kid ourselves. So here we are. I want to point out a couple things. Some of our recent episodes, just so everybody can get caught up a little bit. I got to look at the list because we've been banging them out here. Go a couple back. Will Bruin, one of St. Louis's own. The numbers are just flying through the roof for that thing. That guy's got fans everywhere. In fact, we just hit, I think, Singapore on our heat map. They love Will Bruin in Singapore.
I wonder how many academies, colleges, high-level clubs listen to that, because, like I said in my recap of that episode, that guy wants to stay in the game, and whoever lands that kid is going to help their organization out greatly.
Yeah, he just impressive top to bottom look. I mean, his numbers, his longevity, the qualities on the field from club through college to pro. Just off the charts. But when you do listen to him talk about what's next, how he approaches it, and just kind of the demeanor. You know how when you talk to some people, you're just like, that's a cool dude. Just kind of gets it. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, he does.
So we had Will on. Then we kind of slingshotted back into the local market. Duchesne. We had Coach Pat Turner on. Great guy, great family. Loved hearing what he has going on there, his dedication to the school. Really great episode if you're kind of knee-deep in the high school soccer process, boy or girl side. It's good to hear about a program and a coach that is doing it for all the right reasons. And that was one of those episodes.
Yeah, if I'm a parent of a high school or incoming high school boy or girl, and I'm in that market and I live close to that school and I'm toying with where to go, there's worse guys to send your kid to play for, because that guy's an ace too.
Yeah, it was awesome. A couple more recent episodes. Sasha Bauer from City SC. He's the director of training and development, basically working on the community youth programs across the whole area, bringing his German roots and African travels and Brazilian experiences to the Lou, to the backyard. Check it out. Cool episode. And then we also, last Friday, at the time of this recording, last Friday, we had the privilege of sitting down with nine ex-Steamers out at Soccer Park They sold the room out, raised a lot of money for Living Legacy, great foundation. And after the fact, hearing some of the stories of the people that were there and why they were there, and who was their favorite, I was blown away. I mean, the Steamers hold a special place in a lot of people's hearts. These were super fans, and it was a great event.
If you're true soccer people like we are, clearly, in most of our guests, and clearly our guest today grew up in this city and is a true soccer family, stories like that, people like that's heartwarming, because those guys are heroes.
Well, I'll point out one person that was there. I believe she traveled by herself. Basically, is a mad fan, still in love with Jeff Cacciatore, because she was like, when I found out he was going to be here, I had to come. I'm like, oh, great, you from the area, you're a big Steamers fan. Yeah, I grew up here, but I'm not here anymore. I'm like, okay, where do you live now? She goes, New York, close to Buffalo. I drove all the way here for this event. And I just stared at her like, are you serious? I mean, that was...
I was anxious to listen to it after
Buffalo,
you put it out.
New York. Yeah.
That was one of we did a couple live events. We did one at a SLU game.
Yeah, we did.
Kudos to you on the production side, because it came across good on the actual podcast that you released later. It didn't sound like a shithousery.
The magic of post-production.
There you go. And
the luck that none of the gear broke when it fell off the table. But we won't get into that. Hey, we're down here at Maggie O'Brien's for today's episode. Thanks to the crew here for continually opening their door. Love this place. Caddy corner from our new favorite Mecca, City Park. So thanks, Maggie O's. I also want to throw out a thanks to our supporters, Explore St. Louis, responsible for really bringing in all the big events, all the conventions. Did you see what they're doing over at Jones Dome? Explore is kind of... They sell the events and bring in, like the NCAAs and everything else to St. Louis. You see what's going on over there now?
No, fill me in.
Well, I think the number was 700 or 7,000. I might have a zero wrong. Tons of dirt for the super motocross.
Oh, my wife loved motocross, dude. And she brought my stepson, who's 25. They went to motocross every year as a kid.
Really?
Just him and her.
I've never done that. My parents bought us one year, which at first I'm like, what are you doing? But they bought us PBR tickets, the bull riding.
Yeah.
There. And look, it's a cool space. Go check it out. But thank you, Explore STL. Go to exploreSTL.com if you want to check out motocross and all these other things, hotels, restaurants, etc. Crescent Plumbing Supply, new location. They're moving from the Loop. We got a new location, showroom. Go to crescentsupply.com. Huge deals coming down the pipe. Listen, soccer dads, I know you're listening. I know that you're like, I've heard about all this before. My wife talks about it. Just get this shit fixed. New bathroom. She's happy. And you get to go golf a little bit more or something like that. So crescentsupply.com. Check it out. And then our boys, Chris, Bill, Pete, thepinnacleloans.com. Over there on the hill. I'm telling you, go to Milo's, put your order in, walk across the street, get your pre-approval ready to go back, eat the wings, and then go house shopping.
Bocce.
If you play bocce after you celebrate a sale, right? Yeah. Which brings us to Pinnacle Points of the Day.
I got a couple. I got one non-soccer and I got one soccer, and you tell me the order and you tell me when to fly.
Let's go soccer.
Soccer first. I think this is interesting for our North American game. Congratulations to City Football Group, which hits home here because, as you know, they're involved in the St. Louis organization, as you know. Unanimous approval of a new soccer-specific stadium in Queens for NYFC.
It's called the Cube, isn't it?
I think so. And so where that sits for you folks, if you've ever been to New York, and I love New York, it's in that area over by LaGuardia where you fly into. It's in Queens, right next to the soccer stadium that will be built, a City Field where the Mets play. And that's still in that same complex where they have the U.S. Open every year. That's exciting because that little corridor of that city, and to have another soccer-specific stadium in the Big Apple, that's big time for our game. And with City Football Group leading the charge and it being in New York, I'm pretty sure that won't be a dump.
No, it will definitely be top tech, highbrow. I saw the renderings early. If you get a chance when you're not driving, listen to us. Pull your phone up, go to Twitter, look at the renderings. It's this really cool cube, tons of digital walls all around. I mean, they're doing it New York style.
There's a lot of similarities between that stadium and our stadium.
Yeah.
How our overhang goes for the sound and pushing the sound down. It's very similar in that, and at least the architectural renderings. But that's exciting. I mean, another soccer-specific stadium that looks to be roughly 20 to 30,000 fans.
Yeah.
Sure, they'll get some big-time national team games, qualifiers, women's, men's.
Jay-Z concerts.
You can't have enough soccer-specific stadiums in our country.
Hey, my pinnacle point of the day is I'm gonna start with soccer too. As you well know, you know the listeners about to find out today. I had the just insane privilege to be able to talk to, in my opinion, the GOAT on the women's side of the soccer world, not just domestically. I would say globally, Michelle Akers. We spent an hour talking with two-time World Cup winner, Golden Boot winner, Olympics winner. She played pro for a number of years at a time when pro was really not available.
For almost no money, probably.
155 caps, and just her cadence and description of the time and what she went through. We had a story about when she was wanting to get back into some training and was near a U.S. camp, and guess who's coaching the 19s? Ty Keogh. He's on that staff, and she's like, "Hey, Ty, let me train there." And he was like, "Absolutely," and just a ton of stories. And it's not often that you get to talk to Mount Rushmore figures in the game. And we've been lucky enough to talk to a few. Altros being one, right?
Yeah.
Michelle Akers.
On the ladies' side, for sure.
Soccer Mom Sunday. It'll be dropped this week, which 12, 13, 14, April 14th. So
was there any soccer balls around? Because, you would have got tackled.
Yeah, no. Thank God it was Zoom. And she would have dropped my ass. Just a complete class act. And here's where I want to go with this. I want to tell a quick story from the episode because she was talking about in her path, she had to train with the boys many times to train up or challenge herself, etc. And she's like, and then there was always like, we had to create the path. And then I told her the story about Alex Pfeiffer, watching her at Gallagher train with the Academy boys for a number of years, our boys included, and the difference between the two, all the work that Michelle and her peers did to pave the way, and then you watch an Alex Pfeiffer who did all the same things at the same age, but she gets a pro contract and plays in the first female-specific soccer stadium in the world. And I asked Michelle about it, and she was visibly emotional. With pride for Alex, for KC.
That's interesting, man. That's cool. Great. That's full circle stuff.
Yeah, it was great. Pinnacle point number 3, you got it.
I do. I got a music one related. Funny. Music's huge to our show here, as you know, because we got a what he calls himself as a music buff. I haven't figured that out yet.
Nerd.
54 years ago today, rose to number 1 on the charts. Paul McCartney's Let It Be, Beatles. He wrote it. What do you think when you hear the song Let It Be? It's one of those songs, like when I'm even sappy emotional, I'm not very emotional. That song will choke you up.
You are emotional, just usually about the wrong thing. But I'll give you credit for acknowledging.
But that's interesting. It was number 1 on our charts in 1970. Today was the first day it rose to number 1 54 years ago today. 3 weeks. Which is not an exceptionally long time for a number 1, but that is one of those songs for me, and it was before my generation, but it's a generational song. It plays in every generation, and name me somebody that doesn't know the Beatles' Let It Be.
No, I think, in my music nerd circles, there's inevitably always the debate late at night, usually greatest song or greatest rock song or whatever. And if you really dumb it down, you can't say any one song is better than other iconic songs. And I think Let It Be is one of those songs that it's going to stand the test of time.
Yep, I agree.
So I had another pinnacle point of the day, and I'm drawing a blank on it. So, and this is one of the pitfalls of not actually taking notes for a show.
Yeah.
Sometimes we seem like dipshits, and today I'm actually the dipshit. So, without further ado, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna get ready. We're gonna bring our guest on in just a second here, and I want to thank again Maggie O'Brien's for hosting us. We're gonna get some refills when we come back. We're gonna be talking NOCO, East Side, Billikens. Probably a number of other things.
Transferring in a time that it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. I can't wait to hear the story.
You ready? Here we go. I'm going to roll you out here. Don't start crying on me, Jared.
Right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
The Kranzberg Arts Foundation is dedicated to providing modern, world-class venues influenced by our town's incredible historical fingerprints to bring the arts to St. Louisans and visitors alike. From dance troupes to the Big Top Circus to the globally recognized music festival, Music at the Intersection, Kranzberg Arts Foundation is simply a gifting treasure for St. Louis and the arts community. So go to musicattheintersection.org to get your tickets to September's 3-day festival now.
Listen up, guys. While you lay claim to the garage, the basement, and that generous little corner of the walk-in closet, let's be abundantly clear. The bathroom belongs to the ladies. The fact that there's a line in the morning means you need to think about a new one for you and the kids. So why don't you set up an adult field trip and go check out Crescent Plumbing Supply Showroom. Afterwards, you can buy the beer or seltzer or rosé or whatever you choose to celebrate the upcoming renovation. CrescentSupply.com. Everybody wins.
All right. We are back. Jared, how you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome, and you got the music that you got going now, a little wild.
Yeah. Going with the little Robert Randolph. You know Robert Randolph?
I don't know Robert Randolph. Sounds like a poor man's Bruno Mars.
He's kind of between Bruno Mars and Gary Clark. Robert Randolph, actually, I'm playing him on purpose because Kranzberg Art Foundation, they put on the Music at the Intersection local festival over there in Grand Center, actually in the hood over there by our guest's place of employment, right there at Grand in Washington. Big Top Music at the Intersection is going to be in September. Go to musicattheintersection.org, get your tickets. Robert Randolph, Chaka Khan, Big Boy, the rest are going to be there. So that rolls us into, without further ado, North County's own, and you've already read your dashboard, we got Kevin Stoll from SLU University. How you doing, Kevin?
Good. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, man.
Thanks to Maggie's.
Yeah. Hey, Maggie's, they continue to open the door. They don't kick us out and pour cold beers.
Not yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not yet. It's early. You're a traveling man, dude. I think I've seen you in, 5-6 states, in the last year, all over the place. And surprisingly, you're watching soccer everywhere. It's almost as if it's part of your job.
Yeah, it's something like that, right? No, I enjoy it. So we travel a bunch, but get to see a bunch of good players play and get to know you guys. So it's all good.
Well, let me ask you this about the traveling, because and we have a lot of mutual friends, all of us do. And, I was doing a little bit of research and trying to keep it as clean as I could.
Oh, boy.
A little rumor told me that you, my friend, are probably the best late night food orderer. How did you get to that? Because
It's art.
It is an art, because this gentleman told me, he goes, it doesn't matter what state, what city we're in, late night, he'll order enough food for 10 people, and there'll be 3 of us, and it's here 30 seconds later. What's the trick?
Must be like 8 p.m. That's pretty late. No,
all the friends he's hanging out with are really old, and they go to bed at 9.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, you must have heard that a couple times. No, you just got to do your research. We stay in lot of different cities, so you got to know.
So, North County kid. Let's start there real quick. We'll kind of paint a landscape. You grew up in North County. Talk real quickly. Little club. Little high school path, little college path. Let's draw a line through your travels here.
Yeah, North County, good old days. Born and raised North County in Florissant. Played for NOCO growing up.
Yeah.
For a few years. Guy named Bill Gravlin was his name, and then went to Gallagher around 13. Played under Skip Grossman and Tommy Howe.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kevin got us. Right when State Cup came, he prepared us to win state. So, played under those guys. Went to Chaminade. It was before the academy days, so we played, Gallagher and high school ball. Went to Illinois, Chicago.
Well, let's stop there.
Okay.
We have to talk about the Chaminade days because those Chaminade teams you were on. Give us some of the names of those guys that are currently in the game, or just for our local flavor here, because we have a lot of people that listen to the show.
Yeah, time frame too. What years?
The Chaminade teams were pretty fucking good.
Yeah, they were decent. So we had Mike Roach was a big name for us. Went to Indiana, unbelievable player. I mean, U13, 14, 15, probably best player in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Became an All-American. But we had Pat Clendenny, who went to SMU. We had Chad Vandergriff, SMU, still playing. Joe Willis, as you know, still playing. We had quite a few. I think there was 16 Division I players on the roster at the time.
Well, should we pause for that, because we're talking about high school soccer in St. Louis.
Yeah, because only 11 guys can play at a time, right?
16 Division I soccer players. I mean, what was in the water? I mean, was Vader just licking his chops?
He was probably bringing you guys all that double-decker pie from JJ Twiggs, and it was just like super fuel.
Yeah, that was our PE. We were at PE, and we decided to go to JJ Twiggs every Thursday. $10.99 special.
How much fun was it playing for Vader with just kind of the time, the pre-academy exclusion, looking back at it, knowing what you know now about the landscape, do you look at those years with a little bit more fondness? What's that memory like? Yeah,
it was. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the group that you have, right? The training group you have, your team that you're on. I mean, it was really competitive. Vader was unbelievable. Sartori was kind of the glue to the whole team, to be fair.
He was just cutting his teeth then, too,
that's
correct?
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Him, Joe, Coach Mo, obviously, Joe, Morgan, Vader, they just created a training environment that was so competitive. We played a lot of games, a lot of small-sided games. But at the end of the day, you're playing with your best friends, and then we had the rival with SLU and Cole Grossman and the other half of our Gallagher team. So our Gallagher team was kind of split between us and SLU, and it was a great rival, and it was an amazing time back then, 06, 07. And it was every game was competitive, it was fun, and at the same time, we knew we were getting better.
Yeah. So you guys have you have a good run. You are performing at a high level. Jared alluded to it earlier, trying to reel you back in from your first college experience. What I want to do, though, is talk about that transitional period, your own experience, which will lead us into later in the conversation, your current role with SLU. Talk about the recruiting process. Talk about as you realized, hey, I'm pretty good at this sport. I think or I know I want to go to the next level. What was the recruiting process like for you at that time?
So it started really quick. That sophomore / junior year, June 15th, happens quick.
Yeah.
And we're not as fast as the women's side, by all means, but the men's side, I remember my first phone call was Princeton. The guy named I still talk to, Aaron Lujan, was my first call, and he's like, "Remember that first call?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What's your ACT?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really want to tell you that."
Not Princeton.
Yeah,
not Princeton.
Yeah, not Princeton. So, but
do you
no,
have a JUCO at Princeton?
But no, it happens quick, but at the same time, I was very patient in it. I didn't decide until almost March my senior year.
Really?
Yeah. I just wanted a good fit, but I also, I wanted to be able to go to a place where my dad could go and watch me and my family could go and support me.
That
and
makes
I
sense.
thought that was important to me. And so, I built a bunch of relationships with a bunch of different coaches, and I still have those today, which is great. But I decided to go to Illinois Chicago and live there for 3 years before coming back home to play for Coach Galish at SLU, which was
Well, why did you make the switch? I've always been curious, and I've never asked you that question. What was the main? Was it just coming home to your family? Because it was big for me to go somewhere and play where my family could go. So you did that. You had successful years, your first 3 years there. What was the tipping point? Why you came back? Was it Kevin? Was it friends? Was it home? Just spit game a little bit on that.
Yeah, kind of a personal. So my best friend, who I grew up in North County with, his mom had cancer, and we lost her October 3rd. And then, so it's just a combination of things. Coach Trask was potentially rumored to go to Wisconsin, as he did. And it seemed like, it was time for me to go home. And it's the best decision I made. I was able to, just help SLU kind of get back on the map, Division I, but also just learn how to coach under Coach Kalish and be a mentor for some of the younger guys like Matt Polster, Valesky, a few others, John Berner, who made it, and it was just kind of a special time at SLU as well. So it was a different role for sure, especially coming off an injury, but something that I don't regret one bit.
And I'd like to get the injury timeline because, again, mutual friends talking before this episode. When you come back, I believe, just for a little comedic relief here, you came back, and I remember that timeline of my age. Jeremy Allenball said he was sitting in the office with Kalish, and then you walked in kind of before the season started, and you had your hat backwards, and you came in, you were kind of cocky, and you could play. He could tell, and he's like, Jeremy was like, Kevin, who is that? That guy's not taller than the trash can.
That's right.
And so he says, he's telling me the story and the timeline, and I like to talk about the injury because I think you guys went to England as a group before that, and was it Middlesbrough?
Yep.
And my understanding is you lit it up in England. And I know you'll probably be humble, and this is where it'll come out, where I think there was a select few that stayed around and changed. And per Jeremy, who's been in this game a long, long time, said if it wasn't for your knee injury, you would have been a pro almost immediately. Can you talk about that time? And you went through some rough times. You were injured for 2 years there. Did you take 2 red shirts at SIU?
Yeah. It was a tough time, and Jeremy's lying to you. I don't know if I was that good, but
I thought you were going to say I'm taller than a trash can.
that too. Barely.
Yeah.
No, but again, we had a special group at SLU. I walked in there amongst a large majority of Gallagher players that were fantastic. Brian Rourke, by the way, was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Kevin Billicky.
Heard that name.
Yeah, all these guys, they had a great core. And when I walked in that spring, we had a good spring. I scored quite a few goals. We had good results. And then we decided to go to England and went over to England. And we spent two weeks training. We got real sharp, went to England, played a bunch of games, and had a good basically 10 days. Was seen over there, and then a member of SIUE and myself were asked to stay over at Middlesbrough on trial. And that was just a different world.
Wow.
And
What made it so different? Was it culture?
I couldn't understand the coach because it was Gordon Strachan, and I had no idea what he was saying. So
he
that was
sounded
tough.
like a drunk turkey.
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. But we were in the middle of their preseason, and it was really hard. And I thought it was.
But let me. I want to get into that. Hard, right? Was it pace of play? Was it style of play? Was it culture? Was it the mornings? Was it the beds? What really made
Speed
it hard?
of play.
And the reason I'm asking this is because, again, we have people listening that now have kids and or themselves are kids that think about these things, that think about going to a trial, that don't really know what it means. So what was hard about it for you?
Cutthroat. I mean, I was
You didn't have any friends.
No. And I was
No.
an American walking into a international locker room asking for a kit and barely getting the kit. It was tough. It was speed of play was extremely fast. Fitness was a huge thing about their play. I mean, these guys were so clean on the ball. It was fantastic. It was a great experience for me.
When you came back, how did that experience affect your own preparation moving forward and how you wanted to be or what kind of player you wanted to become?
So I came back obviously really kind of pissed off because I was like, man, I want to be there. But at the same time, I was like, I got a ways to go to be there. But it didn't take long. I tore my ACL. So it took two days after my plane landed. It was about 48 hours later I tore my ACL. So
Golly, that's terrible. And by all accounts, you had a long road to come back to play your final senior year there as you captained the squad. Can you talk about what it means to rehabilitate an injury like that at that age? Mentality. I mean, you had a great support staff with Kevin and, and your family, your dad, I know was a big part of it. Talk about that time rehabilitating that injury and going to school and watching the fellas play and you can't be out there. That's a tough go.
Yeah, the first one was interesting. I was like, I'm going to do this. Like I'm going to come back for sure, be better than what I was, and try to come with that mindset of just I'm going to prove everyone wrong. Right? It's a hard thing to come back from.
Absolutely.
And when I did, I was really aggressive with my rehab. I was very disciplined, but I was very aggressive because I wanted to be back, and I was still young, a little bit immature, and I think I probably rushed it a little bit too much at that. Now looking back at it, obviously,
Sure.
But I wanted to support the team, and I wanted to be a part of it, and I only felt I could be a part of it by being on the field, which was wrong in hindsight. So. I came back 6 months to the day of surgery and started fully training, fully played. And then 9 months to the day, it repopped and kind of it tore again, and I had to go through it again. Now, that one was, I was going to quit. I was done. I gave up. And then I remember getting a call from Kalis, and he's like, "You're not a quitter. You've never been a quitter. You're not quitting on your team." And I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm not. So did it again. Now, it was never the same. But I was able to, give my
leadership
to the team. So it humbled me, to be honest. And I needed it. So
hindsight's 20/20. I mean, when it comes to injuries, and you see it all the time, not only with the team, but you're very close with a lot of the clubs, and a lot of the other programs that you guys compete against, both within the region and outside. Speak to the importance of taking the time on rehabilitation, because everybody wants to get back on the field. These kids are they're all invincible. They shatter their femur, it's sticking out through their leg, and they're like, I'll be back in a week. But, your story is a prime example of how important it is, even with advanced technology.
that's right.
How if you're speaking to a group of kids that are all sitting with an injury right now, give them 20 seconds, 30 seconds of advice as to how to handle the recovery.
Discipline. Listen to your doctor. They know more than us. And don't trust your mind of I feel good, so that makes you good, because that's not the case. My brother's going through it right now. Just tore his ACL.
Golly.
Skiing, like an idiot. I told him. I laughed. I'm like, you're an idiot. You deserve that. No, but I told him the same thing. You have to stay disciplined. The first 3.5, 4 months of your rehab for an ACL is extremely important. So skipping, sessions and overdoing it and not icing, it's just going to prolong everything. But also, when you come back, you're at higher risk.
Yeah.
And so my advice to all the young kids, take your time, because if you do it again, you're done. But if you do it once, you can rehab that.
Yeah.
And I fully believe that. I mean, it's extremely hard to come back from 2.
Yeah.
You can come back from 1.
Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, and we could talk about your senior year, but as we're moving the show along, you're a coach now, and I'd like to touch on those early days. When you're getting out of college and you decide to be a coach, what made you stay in the game? Why did you want to become a coach?
Yep.
Oh man,
You lost a bet. Admit it.
yeah.
Because I got a story to ask you about on the early days of your coaching, but I'd like to get the answer first.
So Skip Grossman originally was like, I have a brain of a coach. I see the game, and the way I try to interpret the game is like a coach. So he told me that like 14, I think.
Yeah.
And then, just following Kevin and Jeremy Allenball. I love Jeremy. I love Dale. I think they're amazing mentors and coaches. And then learning under Kevin, and he's the best of the best, to be honest. And it's just like, it's my calling. I'm able to recruit. I can build relationships. My network's big. I get along with kids. I'm a winner. I think I am. I love the game, and the game gave me so much that I felt like I had to give back.
Yeah.
And then once I started giving back, I'm like, this is my calling.
That's phenomenal. So your first coaching gig, I think, is in Glen Carbon, and it's for Jeremy Allenball, correct?
Oh God.
And so
This guy.
So you're helping him with the 18s, and then you also got the 12s. And he tells a story that it lights me up. So I guess you guys have a full team on the 12s, and here comes the indoor Christmas tournament.
Don't get me started. My dad lectured me for 2 hours on the way home.
So you guys have a draft, correct? So you guys draft the teams to play in the indoor tournament, and I think you go out and you spank Jeremy right out of the gate. But it comes around, and you guys play in the final, and what happens?
So before that,
Okay.
so we have a draft in Florida at the showcase.
Yep.
Right. And I'm like, bang. Actually, my first pick is someone that's on our current SLU team.
Wow.
And I'm like, bang, here he is. I'm like, yes, I got him. I'm so excited. And he picks a goalie. I'm like, why would you pick a goalie? Like, what are you doing? Next pick, bang, top player. I'm like, yes, 2 for 2. He goes, next goalie. So I don't have a goalie. So now I have to trade my picks to get a goalie. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is set up. So, yeah, the first game.
So he was sensei.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first game, I whoop him, and I'm all excited. I'm like, I hope he doesn't make it.
Here comes the trash talking.
I'm like, I hope he doesn't make it through the group. Like, I got to wind up the other teams to beat him enough goal differential so he doesn't get in. And he makes it through. And I'm like, oh, God. So semifinal happens. Mitch probably does some things. Mitch Bonak does some things. So we play in the semis, and now we play in the finals. And we played in the final. So my dad comes out to the final, and I'm up 3-2 with 12 minutes to go. And I'm like,
That's an eternity in indoor.
no, yes, it is. But I thought I had it. So I'm subbing, and I'm like trying to strategically get some guys on the field at the right time. And next thing you know, I get a someone on my team gets a blue card.
Yeah.
So they have to sit out. They're on a power play 3-3. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So 3-3, we have them. We score again. 4-3, we're up. And next thing you know, Jeremy calls a timeout, and I'm like, what is he doing? Why is he calling a timeout? Like, these kids are U12, and he just organized them. I lose 6-4, and my dad the whole way home. You got to be kidding me. You lost 6-4. You had him. Like, what were you doing? And
That's my favorite part, because we're all competitors, and I know your dad probably is as a competitor. He raised 2 athletes, and he wants to win more than anybody. I bet you didn't win too many board games against him as a kid.
No.
And the favorite part is him trash talking you the whole way about how
home.
Jeremy outcoached you.
Yep.
You're not going to be very good at this.
Yep. You have no future in this. You were up and leading. There was like 8 minutes ago, and now you lost. You called the timeout. Why didn't you call a timeout? He pulled his goalie, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I lost.
You gotta love dads.
Yeah.
Hey, so let me ask you this, because going back to the Tommy Howe days through to Vader, and then Kalish and going head to head with Allen Ball and all these people. As you now are 10 years into your career roughly, when you look at your mentors and what they've taught you, what stands out the most to you about the coaches that you've been affiliated with, have been coached by? What do you take from them, the 1, 2, or 3 kind of golden nuggets that you're never going to give up for the longevity of your own career?
Oh, man. Trust, relationships, your network, your character, the character of the people you bring around you. Those, just your inner circle of people, to be honest.
So it's funny you say that, because yesterday, you guys, did you catch Champions League yesterday at all? The Barcelona game?
Yep.
The pundits afterwards, they were sitting at the table, and Thierry Henry obviously is on that round table. I don't know if you noticed this, but they were talking about Barcelona and how they were like, we're surprised, and Barcelona is always about, finding the talent. And what your answer just a second ago made me immediately think of that, because Thierry Henry basically said, you guys are all wrong. They're not really looking for talent. They're looking for brains. They're looking for personalities, in spite of the quality that's on the field. And that's exactly what you just talked about. And as you apply that now in the world of SLU, because you guys get the opportunity to look at the top talent in the country, obviously hyper-focused heavily here in the Midwest, but as you travel around, you've got that crest. You guys have that clout to be able to talk to a lot of potential players. How do you balance that as a recruiter?
Good question.
From, because there's kids out there, they're all techers, right? They're all ballers.
Yeah, of course.
So how do you get to the brain, the personality, the good fit?
The parents. Yeah, honestly, just getting to know the kid at such a deep level of not only soccer player, not only the academics, but who they are. And do they really want to be there? Are they going to go and fight for you? Are they going to go to bat, with the teammate next to them? Are they just about themselves? And you have to do a deep dive in each person's character. And I think that's what Kevin and Jeremy and Dale and all my mentors really do, is they find the right character and the right fit for the guys that honestly make our culture so great.
That I kind of heard I was hoping that's where you would go, because as I listened to you timeline this stuff, and Jared obviously knows all the same people that not only coached you but play with, and so I love listening to you kind of piece this together, and then you kind of round it all out and like, well, this is what really matters.
Yeah.
And that's a lifetime of experience with the best.
Well, and it's awesome because it kind of goes full circle. St. Louis guy back here at the marquee university in our town.
Yeah.
And you just look at the history of that university and that fraternity that they have of players that played there. What he explained is that fraternity. I mean, those guys would all go to bat for each other. And I don't know of a shithead that played at St. Louis University. Do you?
Give me a second.
Good thing I didn't play there.
Yeah. Hey, we're down here at Maggie O'Brien's. We're going to take a quick break. We got to get some refills. We got a couple pints of Guinness and a little tequila on the table today. So it's kind of one of those days. Right in between the winter and here comes summer. It's a nice spring day, so we can go either way, right?
Yeah.
Dark or light.
Yeah, well said.
Hey, Kevin, thank you. We'll keep the questions coming on the flip side here, and we'll be right back.
Every day so fleeting, and I have been
Hey everyone, buying a home, it's kind of a big deal. Never has there been more competition to buy, so few homes to choose from, all made worse by an uncertain interest rate landscape. Now that you're short a bedroom for the third kid, you're in the wrong school district, and a walkable corner pub isn't nearly close enough it's time to reach out to the Pinnacle Loan Team for help. They work with a network of agents that have their feet on the ground across the whole region and have a number of loan products that are cost-effective with a process that is simple. Basically, they've got you covered from start to finish. So when it's time to buy, visit thepinnacleloans.com. That's thepinnacleloans.com. Simply the best in home loans. Red light's on. Here we go. Jared, this one's for you. We're back.
Well, why is this for me?
Storming through the house that day.
It's George Strait.
Well, I know it's George Strait, but I thought maybe like you're in reference like
She turned around and pointed at the
that
wall.
my relationships is on the rocks.
That picture.
Well,
See what I did there? On the rocks.
Oh, you know what? That was very sly, man. If you or your neighbors are looking for a private party in your subdivision, liquor truck on the rocks, Jared will personally deliver it.
Yes, I will.
True that, right?
But I like this song. Thank you.
I know, it's fun, isn't it?
George Strait is a favorite of mine. I went to Nashville to watch a concert of his and paid
$7,000.
$7,000, and then a tornado came in and they canceled the show.
And you got your... No, you didn't get your money back. Did
No,
you
I
get your
didn't.
money back?
No, I went to Broadway and spent $7,000 more.
So,
George Strait, you're the best.
Yeah.
so I love
I got a
George
T-shirt
Strait. I didn't get to see him.
for $90.
14K later, I drank Miller Lights on Broadway.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Oh, we're back down here at Maggie O'Brien's. Just got some refills. We've got Kevin Stoll, North County boy, SLU University assistant. What is the official title? Because you guys
Assistant coach.
assistant coach, but
First,
are,
second, third, fifth, doesn't matter.
yeah, but are you also like is there a director of recruiting, or is it just kind of like you just do it?
We just do it. I mean, with Kevin, titles don't matter, and I believe the same. So
Yeah, I agree with that. We ended going into the break talking about the pedigree at St. Louis University in the program, and I'm looking at your shirt with, I don't even know how many stars that is. Is it 10?
soon to be 11.
Soon to be 11. Well said. What does it mean to be from St. Louis and to coach in that program? I mean, you know, the MLS is not real old, and that program has 31 kids drafted into the MLS and multiple other pros. And before the MLS league existed, think about the amount of pros that played in the NASL and whatnot. I mean, is there a more storied professional factory than St. Louis University over the years? No is the answer to that.
No,
You're going to be humble.
but no. I mean, look, I think we have over 80-something All-Americans, which is a unbelievable stat.
Something to be proud of.
And we've had over 20 pros since we've been there in 5.5 years. So, yeah, it's a remarkable place to play. We have a great environment, obviously, with great facilities, but at the same time, we have unbelievable support within the community. So, and that's what we take pride in. I mean, we try to educate to the best of the ability, right, to be one of the best universities in the country. We build community, which obviously giving back is huge. Being a part of St. Louis soccer is enormous. Mm-hmm. And then we compete. We try to compete for national championships, which I think we've done in the last, 4 or 5 years. So being, 2021 was a special year, going to Elite Eight, being undefeated, 9 guys from that team being pros.
9. Wow.
And obviously a couple that are still doing unbelievably well. Patrick Schulte obviously being at the helm of that, which is pretty remarkable, and obviously had a great game the other night. So, yeah, we're extremely proud to be a part of St. Louis.
Well, let me ask you about that, because all those stars on the chest, the sad, frustrating reality is it's been a minute. It's been a minute since the university's brought one home. You guys have been close. You continue to develop a program that is going to compete, but you have a unique you have unique experience and mileage. Frankly, you're all over the country, as we stated earlier. Going to recruit, looking at these events, the MLS Next events, etc. When you go around the country and you see the quality of play, literally in some corners of the country that 10, 15, 20 years ago, look, those were farm fields. They're not playing soccer, but now they are. Some place like Oklahoma, Tulsa, right? The Tulsa programs. How do you, knowing the history, the expectation, the culture that is SLU soccer, how are you guys attempting to, hey, we need to stay on the tip of the arrow. We don't want to be part of that, because everybody else is getting really, really good, really, really fast. So how do you guys look to set yourself apart moving forward in this competitive landscape?
It goes back to getting the right people on the right seat of the bus, to be honest, and doing a deep dive on their character, and kind of having the same beliefs as what we have. And we feel like St. Louis has done an unbelievable job of creating that environment, creating the transition from high school ball, the age group, to transitioning into college to be successful, along with the portal. As you guys are probably going to bring up, I would assume soon.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
What's the portal?
Exactly. So we kind of use both, right? The Midwest, the blue collar mentality, the hardworking, fighting spirit, the character, the teamwork, and getting just the glue and the nucleus right, and then using the portal for experience to come in and kind of help the young guys, mentor them to know what it takes to win. That's kind of been our philosophy the last couple of years. We'll probably stick to it the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. We got a large group from Midwest/St. Louis coming in. We're extremely proud about. And with that being said, we think like that's going to continue to keep us in the top 10, top 25.
Yeah, I got to ask, because you had mentioned the phrase, what it takes to win. And specifically regarding to our youth climate right now, we asked your boss, Kevin, this
senior partner.
Yeah, senior partner.
The real Kevin.
The real Kev. We asked this a year ago or so back, and I'm sure it hasn't changed much. But can you talk about the youth climate right now between academy and development versus, not necessarily versus high school, because I think I'm not going down that road, but knowing what it takes to win when the academy situation is so enthralled in development and maybe might give up results for development down the road. Where do you guys sit on that?
So development in our mind is both on the field, off the field, learning how to win, learning how to develop as a player individually as well. So I think in a team function, it's extremely important to know how to win. Okay, so doing what it takes to win. On a training function, can you develop individually to get better, to prepare yourself to be the best individual on the field, to best prepare your team how to win. Right. So, we kind of, I think we're a little bit unique in this standpoint. We focus on the individual a lot, but also within the team function, and we drive winning as a whole. So. If you look in our locker room right now, every team that's won in every single training, we have a photo of that team. Most of the time, you see that there's like 6 and 7 guys that are continuously in that photo.
Yeah.
And they're the ones winning at ping pong and checkers and you name it.
They probably also have the highest grade point averages as well.
That's right.
They're winning at the game of life.
Yes. Yeah. So we just had a conversation the other day with one of our players, like, are you in your comfort level? Well, let's get you out. And he could be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
And let's push you to kind of, can you lead others? Can can you do more for the team?
Well,
That's exciting.
So off the mic, we were talking a little bit about some of the what I will call the flair aspects of kind of the player environment, from social media to a number of other things. And Jared was kind of alluding to this in many cases. We see it and we hear it from other parents. This overemphasis on development, this technical training all the time. Hey, we got to get 1 million touches in, and yet the kids can't figure out how to throw down 4 T-shirts and play a game. So my question to you is, as you witness kids today, and all of these I'm going to call them distractions. Is what they are. Footy access and U.S. Soccer Central and all these things, because they can't wait to get a goal. And even if you're the last kid on the field, way behind the play, you're going to run and smile for the photo. But these kids are all really, really good. So how do you, through these conversations, how do you make it clear to your team, hey, all this bullshit is bullshit, and here's what we really need from a team standpoint, because it's so embedded in kind of their everyday lives these days. How do you, as an organization, as a team, how do you peel that out so that you can focus on winning as a team?
Wow, that's a good question. No, I think it's do they care about their individual accolades? Are they willing to lead a team to success? And there's 2 different ways you can look at that, right? So a lot of we, not I. A lot of, putting the group forward first. So when the team wins, it's like, man, we accomplished a lot of great things. Yeah, but you scored 3 goals. Yeah, but it was because I had 3 wingers and I had this and I had that and I had this. That's important to us. Versus, yeah, man, I put the team on my shoulders and I just wanted to, man, it was great to score the winning goal. So different answers. Honestly, talking to academy directors, what comes first? What's their character like? Do they care about the team more so than them?
Let me interrupt you real quick because I just had an aha moment, Jared.
Aha.
It's time for my favorite question.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, and it has nothing to do with high school. Has everything to do with it.
The player that you are recruiting.
When you watch these kids, forget about the parents, forget about the personality. When you're purely just objectively watching a game,
How he walks onto the field, warms up.
What is your definition of it in a 90-minute game that you could describe like a player number 7 on blue? That kid has it. What would it be?
My favorite example is when their team's losing 3-0, and he's still running through a brick wall and still trying to lead. And when times are against him, how he leads others and how he responds, how he can try to motivate his team to come back.
It's awesome, and probably a benefit of our current academy selection, if you will, is in the effort to, it's all about development with floating rosters and not playing the best players every game. You guys as college coaches at these events, in a six game event, 3 game event, whatever it is, you guys have the ability to probably see that more so than when we were growing up. So when we won state cup,
the highs and lows.
when we won state cup and we went to regionals, let's call it in 1999 or 2003, 49, whatever it is. And, we were on a team of 16 kids and we played 10. The game wasn't different. We had to get out of our group. We had to win the game. We had to win the finals. So we played the best players, or what the coach thought was the best players. In an event that you go to now, you get to see a little bit of everything, which is probably pretty advantageous for a recruiting coordinator or a staff to see, what am I really going to get?
Yeah, exactly. And it's important to see how on day 3 you haven't played in 2 games. How do you respond by starting your first game? Are you pouting, or are you the person that's going to step up to help win that 3rd game, which we didn't see in 1999, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we always the 16 players played, or 12 players played,
Yeah.
what have you. So that actually becomes a little bit more of a challenge to get their quote unquote value right by being able to be like, well, he didn't play the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Is he leading like this because it's the first game he's played, or is this his personality? So that's a little bit of a tricky part.
Interesting.
However, we feel like personality traits kind of winners win
Yep.
and leaders lead. And when you see a leader on the field that's trying no matter what,
It's really hard to fake it.
it's really exactly.
Yeah.
So when adversity hits, how do they lead? When we win, everything's easy, right? Everything's rainbows and butterflies and sunshine and all that stuff. So
Let's take a second and talk about adversity and maybe not meeting a player's own personal expectation, and that is where I'm going with this. When you look at the college landscape, you guys are really upperclassmen heavy across the board. Like the power teams in the big conferences, you're going to see a lot of older players, and that's a combination of factors from international to portal, etc. Talk about the mindset of that kind of normal path American player that goes through, plays academy, or potentially, maybe they even come from a high school environment, but they're going into a major program like a SLU University as a true freshman, and they're used to playing all the minutes, all the time, 24/7. But now they enter into your world. Talk about managing that expectation for a player, for a family.
Yep.
What that means to be literally the new kid on the block.
So that's where culture's the most important thing. So as a team, the team is greater than each individual, for sure. And you have a lot of colleges now, a lot of universities that have gone international heavy, right? So they're 20 years old.
Which ones?
Yeah.
Never mind. Proceed.
Which, look, there's a right and a wrong, right? So, but, there's a 20-year-old freshman that now is competing with a 17, 18-year-old freshman. We have a 17-year-old on our team right now, which he's done incredible, and he's going to continue to get caught up with the pace of play and everything else. But that's their philosophy, right? So the culture can swallow you up, and when the culture's toxic, it's why aren't I playing? What's going on? You're a freshman, relax, whatever. But when the culture's strong, it's your spot, the reality, what your expectations are coming in. And that's what we try to do. We try to give every freshman the most realistic possibility that they're going to be walking into when they come as a freshman. And I think that's important. With that being said, we have no guarantees. We have freshmen that come in and we say, hey, you're going to be behind, or you're going to be this and this, and then next thing you know,
They're starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the bonus, right? So the best players play, and the best people will always succeed within our culture.
And I think what's helpful there is, and I know our game's evolving with transfer portal and international players and age, but a little bit of that has been the same. You went through it. Kevin went through it. I mean, everybody is 17 or 18 when they become a freshman, and oftentimes, and now there's not 23-year-old, there wasn't maybe a lot of them, but you're leaving the game at 21, 22. So a lot of that's been the same and a constant thing. So, I mean, that's just the battle you're going to get even in the high school level. Here's my question to you that I have to ask because I've been thinking about it. St. Louis University, marquee university in our state, right across the river, a lot of history. They got it cooking over there, Kale, SIUE, and then you go down, completely different model. We kind of referenced it, joked about it. We've had them on the show. My alma mater down in Springfield, they have a completely different model than both schools here locally that are a driver pitching wedge across. As you guys play each year, and for me, it's important that I hope you guys play each other every year, and I think that's happening now. How important is it as a staff for you guys to win those games each year? from a recruiting aspect, from hey, I see these guys all the time, and I either like them or I don't like them, but F you, I want to beat you. How important is it to you, Kevin, Jack, your staff, to win those 2 games each year?
It's important to win every game.
Yeah.
I mean, every game. So, soccer, the college soccer is so small. I'm like best friends with Kevin Robeson.
Yeah.
And we have a great rival. But at the end of the day, we're all friends. Same thing with Siebold.
Yeah.
He coached my brother and Kale, and I'm an SLU alum. So,
Yeah.
we all have ties. When we play, we want to win. When they play someone else, I want them to win. And that's how you approach it.
Unless
So-
it's getting down to NCAA tournament selection time, right?
No, they want that RPI.
Yeah, we went on RPI. No, but we all root for each other. Anyone that's on schedule, you root for that team. And then once you play them in a tournament, yeah, I mean, it's a different story. But no, I think it's always important to approach the game the same way. And that is to win the game and to get home with 3 points and to celebrate with your team. There's no better feeling other than having a child and being married and everything else than winning games.
Yeah.
And that's the addicting part of the game. That's why I have a calling for it. Is winning is addicting. And when you win and you see in 21 we won one game, we won the next, and the next thing you know,
got on fire.
You get on fire, and then you're down 2-1. We're down 2-1 at UMass with 8 minutes to go, and I'm like,
We're gonna win this game.
we're gonna win the game.
It's contagious.
100%. And then Kippy Keller scores an unbelievable goal. We go 2-2. We win it with 2 minutes to go with Simon. It's like, yeah, we won it. All right, let's get out of here. Like,
I know exactly that feeling. I had one of those runs in college, and whenever we were playing, we were gonna win.
100%.
That's a cool feeling.
Even the same thing with like Brian Johnson and that team. Like every kid we put in, we knew was going to step up to the table to make a play, and we knew we were getting out of there with.
That's
3
when you're having
points.
fun.
100%.
Let's talk a little bit about the new world order here in St. Louis soccer. Now that we have an MLS team, city's here, right? We had an incredible inaugural season. We're in season 2. That is, maybe the engine's not firing on all cylinders right now, but long season. But in regards to the relationship between SLU and St. Louis, now a city in town with the academy, the growth of the academy, and obviously St. Louis Scott Gallagher and Lou Fuse and all the other clubs around the area were always a good pipeline for you. How has the landscape changed in your guys' eyes with city, just straight down market from you guys, but with this academy literally right next door? Has it helped? Has it made it? Are you putting in more work because it's expanded? Are you having to expand eyeballs? What's the explosion of the academy scene here done to SLU's process in the backyard?
It's made it easier, to be honest. So, I mean, you got Fuse now getting players. You have Gallagher continuing to produce players and getting players. You have City here that's in our backyard, and we're extremely well connected with basically everyone. You have the Stars coming up as a youth program. You have St. Louis DA.
Yeah,
right?
you got Doogie over there.
You have Doogie over there. I mean, you have 5-6 clubs that are
You
doing
didn't
it.
mention
Boaks.
You didn't mention Norco.
Mr. Gravelin's gone.
No, I know. No, I know.
No, but I mean, you have so many clubs that are now feeding into these MLS Next platforms and the ECNL platforms and high school platforms there's top players. So it's made it a little bit easier. However, our connection with City has been very unique. Lutz has, continued to call Kevin for advice and help and getting players, and Hack's been unbelievable to us. And you got Sean Hewitt there that's bringing in players. You have Dale that's obviously extremely well, respected and has a great eye. I mean, all these kind of now added up to what do you guys need? What do you guys want? is there anything that you can do to help certain players go on to somewhere else? So our connection to them in the St. Louis community as a whole has been so, so unique.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I mean, that's, I'm thinking about, you mentioned Kevin a little early. I got to get the right Kevin. Robeson, right?
Yeah, Roby, yeah.
Our friends down 70 that way over.
You're talking about
No.
East? That's St. Louis, Indiana East.
That's what I was saying. That's the SLU East campus, and they say SLU is really the Bloomington West campus.
Yeah. You know what I think was funny? We saw Kevin at the game, and it was the week before Easter. And so he's got 2 young kids, and his family still lives here, and he couldn't make it for Easter. So just bonus, he was bringing the kids to Grandma and Grandpa's for Easter. And where do you see Roby at? He's watching games.
Well,
Tell him to get off my turf.
No, this is what I wanted to talk to you about, though, because it's like SLU has always been in the conversation nationally. It's just that's the pedigree of the program. Now you have City SC in the backyard. You guys were given another tool in the toolbox that a vast majority of markets will never get. I mean, bottom line, they will never have an MLS team, 2 miles, a mile and a half from campus.
And let's be honest, everyone from St. Louis comes back to St. Louis.
Right.
Where'd you go to high school?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's something that's very unique about St. Louis is, everyone's so close here, so nice and so opening that everyone, they may go away,
Yeah.
but eventually they want to come home.
Yeah.
And we always try to have open arms to those kids.
So I do need to ask a question about high school club, and I'm going to do this in kind of a 2024 way because down in Tampa, Perry Vanderbeck and crew, they've kicked off the Champions League top 10 down there in Tampa in that market, which is basically a true Champions League. Different classes of high schools spread out in season, and it gives these kids kind of another trophy to play for, but it's really a way to find the true best. St. Louis is about to kick it off in the fall.
It's awesome.
Boys and girls.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and I wanted to get your take on that because I think I kind of know the answer to the question, but I want you to kind of talk about your opinion of Champions League in the realm of club versus high school, because MLS Academy events, they are unique. They're very good for business, your business. But now here in our backyard, with the history and the pedigree that we have, the coaches that coach these programs, the volume of good high school players at the ECNL level, or maybe academy players that have come out. Are you looking forward to Champions League as an opportunity maybe to get back into watching more than one game a year? I don't know how many high school games you watch a year, but I gotta assume it's less than MLS games. So,
It's less, but we go to quite a few, to be fair.
Good.
That's awesome.
And look, someone told me a great player is always going to be found.
Yeah.
And our community is so small that a great player is always found here in this community.
Your good friend Roby said the same thing, almost verbatim.
Well, yeah, that's not me. No, but our network is so big, and there's one phone call from some random coach that's like, hey, he recommends this and this. Go watch him play, and we'll drive within 5 hours to go watch him play. I go and watch Chaminade probably 5 times a year. Same thing with all the MCC schools.
Yeah.
Along with the public schools as well. I live out in O'Fallon.
Well, that's like a SLU reunion at those MCC schools with the coaches and who's involved.
Yep.
Pisses me off.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Those are all my boys.
But no, it's the same thing. I mean, I'm on my way home and I see South playing, Zumwalt South, and I'm like, I'm going to go watch 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I go and watch 45 minutes. So I try to do my best. We try to do our best to get out to high school games, club games, ECNL games, USYS games, academy games. I mean, we try to put our brand out there as much because you never know. Our best player played USYS, or one of them.
Yeah.
And it was found because one of our current players, mom called and said, "Hey, I think you have a good player in this guy," and we went and watched, and we're like, "He just lost 5-0 to Lou Fuse, but we like him."
That's interesting.
And now
love
he's
that.
big time. He should be a top 10 pick. So.
I know we're wrapping things up here, and I'd like to kind of ask one question, just because I'm nosy, and I think our listeners would be nosy, because there's a little bit of a dynamic here as JB referenced our academies are evolving. So right now, SLU it has a style in mind, and we didn't even talk about it, but they clearly want to play a certain way, and they want players, and they want winners. You kind of outline that. Within our backyard here, you got different academies that clearly have different stylistic views to the game on how they're developing middle schoolers up through high schoolers, which is what your wheelhouse will become or is. What is your remark to one academy having a different style versus another, and being a St. Louis homer and playing one way or the other? Are you guys just strictly looking for the best player and best human that will fit your needs for that incoming year? Or is there any remark to maybe that BS question?
So we look for what we need, right? Who we want, who do we need, what... I mean, is it a winger? Is it an outside back? What's their profile like? So we look for, we go on a deep dive as a staff. Kevin meets with us about 20 hours a week about this, by the way. No, but we do a deep dive on what exactly we want. The style of play, that's an interesting one, because some styles of play are only based on your personnel. Right? So some teams have to play a certain way to win games by playing a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's, you have to kind of look through that lens of they have to play this way to win games to keep their clientele happy. They sometimes other, programs play a certain way no matter what, but they don't always win. But I think we're in a market personally that is about results, and I think that you have to be, as a coach, youth coach here in this market, you have to be adaptive a little bit. You have to play with what your personnel is. Whereas, like, for example, Philly Union, they can align however they want to play because they have great talent, right? So they want to play 4-3-3 and they want to do this, and this. They also have the talent. Lou Fuse, Gallagher, City, Stars, DA, they got to play a certain way based on their individual talent within that team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny
sense.
that you mentioned Philly Union Academy, because something's in the water there. Jim Curtin all the way down. They got it figured out.
They have a great recruiter.
Oh,
A great recruiter.
is he from St. Louis?
No.
Oh.
Not yet.
Hey, man, we know you've got plans this evening to go meet.
Yeah, big news. Congratulations on the new hire. That's huge this is a Soccer Dad pod. I'm a huge basketball guy, but much like you guys in building relationships, this guy's made his headway on it. And what a hire for St. Louis University.
Ben's basketball, they're rocking and rolling right now.
Congratulations. That's going to be great to see what they do.
Josh is a great guy. I've only met him a couple times, but man, welcome him to St. Louis and this family. And he's, like I said, he loves the open door policy. So
we're also thinking about starting a tennis podcast. So maybe you can get him on the tennis podcast.
That's right.
Hey, Kevin, thank you very much for
Thank you
joining
guys
us,
for
man.
having me. Thanks, Baggies, and thanks for all the listeners. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it, Jared. Thank you for your time, as always, your incredible insight. You're getting kind of pretty good at this.
Yeah, go Bills, except for when they play the Bears.
I can't even look at it.
Hey, we're going to boogie out of here. Thank you, Maggie O'Brien's. ExploreSTL.com. Check it out. Get yourself a little room in a restaurant. Come check out St. Louis on the weekend road trip. CrescentSupply.com. Thank you. And Chris Bill Pete, ThePinnacleLoans.com. Appreciate all the support. We're out of here. We'll catch you next time.